So congrats on your new addition. I'm sure that you're excited to have a new pup in your home. And now the main question is, what supplies do you get? There's a lot of things to prep in place for adding a puppy or a rescue dog into your home. So we're gonna go over a variety of different training tools, management things, mental activities for your dog, treats, what we recommend throughout the training process. So first, we're gonna go over what we use for training treats and for food. So we typically will feed Purina Pro Plan for puppies. Most breeders do feed this as well. Your breeder might have your puppy on something different. So if you need to change over, you're gonna wanna make that transition with about a 50-50 split, or use the Purina as a training treat and then feed them what they're already on. As a puppy food, it is a little bit smaller. They don't come in larger size, so it is a little bit harder to target. When you upgrade to Purina Pro Plan for large breed, you have a much larger size kibble. So this is the Pro Plan large breed kibble compared to the Pro Plan for puppies. You can see quite a size difference. This is a little bit easier for targeting purposes when you're using it for training. When it comes to treats, one of our all-time favorites is Happy Howie rolls. They'll come in a roll just like this. You can slice it up and cut it up into the size pieces that are easy for you to target your dog with. Puppies' mouth, they chew, especially having a couple of retrievers in the house and a male-in-law. They're gonna chew quite often, so it is good for you to give them something to chew on. If you're not training them, if they're hanging out in their X-pen, or if you're tethering them to an object so they don't redirect their mouth to something else. Our top favorite chew are bully sticks. The thing about bully sticks is you want to ensure that you buy the odorless ones, because if you don't, they get really smelly and really gross. So we definitely recommend buying the odorless bully sticks. They'll still obviously have a slight smell, but not to the extreme if you didn't go with odorless ones. Another natural chew to get are yak chews. These are good as well. They're not gonna brittle and hurt your puppy's teeth. Once your puppy loses their puppy teeth and have their adult teeth, we do recommend deer antlers, but they're a little too young and their teeth are a little sensitive to start that at this stage. Now, not only training your puppy is important, but it's also good to work them mentally. So a few mental things that you can get for your dog is one, a snuffle mat. So snuffle mats are great to tap into your dog's natural desire to root for things. If your dog is outside, you'll see them smelling the ground. They might start to dig versus just feeding them in a metal bowl. It's good to feed them in here, or if it's a rainy day, it's a natural way to tap into that instinct. Another fun mental activity is a con wobbler. So it's weighted just like those punching bags that would come back up. It has a hole in the side, and you would just unscrew the bottom, put your dog's food in it, close it up, and they're gonna push it around, move it around, and work for that food. If your dog is a fast eater, this is another good way to feed them to slow them down. Another puzzle toy on the market is the Seek and Treat. So you can put food, your dog has to push it, and that way they have to access the food. These are all just mental activities for you to work with your puppy if you had a busy day and for some reason your training just isn't up to par of what you normally do, or just to switch it up on them and have them work independently away from you. When you're training your dog, it's hard to hold a whole bunch of food in your hands, so we really recommend having a treat pouch. PetSafe makes a really nice one. This has a nice magnetic pop to it, so it's not easy when you bend over for all your treats to come pulling out. These rubber ones are a little bit easier to clean. They are a little bit smaller, so if you have large hands, these are a little bit difficult to work with your dog. So with puppies, we tend to not use too much leash pressure in the beginning stages. So when you're tethering your dog or out for a walk, we do recommend a harness in the beginning stages, so that way we can keep their necks fresh for when we do add leash pressure. We're not having to use a lot. We want to use as minimal amount of pressure as possible. But if your puppy starts to pull in the beginning stages and learns that when they pull, they move forward, you're gonna have to use more pressure, and that's not what we're aiming for. So a harness is what we definitely recommend. What you want to get is a harness that is a V-shaped harness, not one that cuts across your puppy's chest. So ones that cut across your puppy's chest, like the Easy Walk harnesses, they actually don't allow your dog to walk in a natural manner. So their front legs are going to be cut by that harness, not like literally, but they're not going to be able to function in that fluid motion like they normally would. So you want a V-shaped harness, so that way your puppy walks normally and you're not going to have any issues long term with them. You can also have a dog that looks pretty cool and get little in training tabs on the side of your vest. So that way when you're out in public, people don't just rush up to your puppy, which is only gonna create them being obsessed with people, which is a slippery slope. And we'll get into more of that in our other training videos. If you don't wanna go out for one of these, you can get a little bit of a less expensive version. Same concept, V-shaped harness. Wanna make sure that it's nice and secure on your pup and that the access to the leash is on the back of the harness. Now leashes. So a couple different leashes that we recommend are a retractable leash. So with puppies, if you do not have a fenced in yard and you're not gonna have them off leash, a retractable leash is a great way to give them some freedom without having them at a 6-foot distance from you. And it's a good way to work on a pressure release system with them that you'll be seeing in our videos. We also love using nice leather leashes because they feel good on your hands. A nice just 6-foot leather leash that is just a normal clip-on works great. And lastly is a slip lead at this stage. So a slip lead would just slip over your puppy's neck, makes it really easy to get your dog versus having to put a collar on or the harness on if you're kind of in a hurry. Once your puppy understands leash pressure, you don't want to use this if they don't, because we don't want them pulling against it. And then you slide this leather stopper down. So it's a nice secure fit for your pup. Lastly, what toys we recommend for puppies are you want to have soft toys for your pup and ones that you can work with your pup at a distance. Spatial pressure is a form of pressure, and we really want to build up a puppy's confidence in their engagement with us as their handler. So if you're really close to their mouth at this stage, it can be a little intimidating. So if you go to Canine Tactical Gear, they have our absolute favorite, which is a sheepskin tug toy. You can either get it on a flirt pull or you can just get it as is and attach a leash to it. We like to use a leash method. It's a little bit easier to finagle, and then eventually you can take that leash off once your dog is ready to get closer to that mouth. Another one on Amazon is just a little leather rag, again, attached to a long string so you can work at a distance. It's just a little bit different of a texture. Some dogs can be a little bit weird with this texture. The sheepskin, we never have had an issue with dogs liking because of that softness. A lot of dog training seminars or workshops or competitions will have vendors on site, and we were just recently at a PSA trial down in Florida and picked up a couple new toys. This one being our next puppy toy. So it's a nice easy one for your pup to grab, and it has a little bit of a bungee action to it, so you can get a nice little pull and release. They'll also have it on a longer string, or if you don't have access to one of these and you can't find it and you want to make your own version, just go to your store, you can buy one of these. They're meant to really clean your car and just attach a leash to it. So yep, I just made my own, have a long one, cut a hole in the back, attach the leash, and you're ready to rock and roll. On Learberg, they have another good bungee toy. So you have your fleece. Again, on the bungee, it's a little bit easier to target your dog when you start adding in targeting skills. And then lastly, balls. So a lot of dogs like to retrieve. Chuck It balls are a very popular ball for dogs. A lot of dogs like the texture of them. You can also add your own rope onto it. That's what I did here. So that way you have the ability to tug and play with your dog versus it just being a ball on its own. Here's another ball option. It's just a little bit different of a texture that you can use for your pup. Again, it's on a string, so that way you can re-engage your pup with you. Now, some training tools that we use for building foundation behaviors are a place board. This is going to teach your dog to go to a specific boundary. We like to use the 4 legs for pets cots because they are very easy to clean, they're stackable, and it's a definitive raised boundary versus just using a dog bed or an area mat for your dog. We really like having that distinct change in texture and height for the beginning stages of teaching a place command. For touchpad work, you can get a rubber bowl at a lot of feed stores or on Amazon. The best brand in our eyes is FORTEX. They're a little bit more sturdy. Some of the ones we've used before, once a dog gets a little bit larger, they'll cave into it. The FORTEX brand is nice and solid, and we have not had that issue with them. And lastly, traffic cones. So this is going to teach your dog to go around an object. You can get a set of 6 of these on Amazon for pretty inexpensive, or if you already have one, use that. And if you don't have a traffic cone, you can use a trash can. You're just going to be teaching your dog to go clockwise around the object, and if you're doing any sport work, this would be going around the blinds long term. So the decision is up to you if you want to go with a covered crate or a wired crate. For a covered crate, this gives your dog a more den-like area. Some dogs can be a little bit more whiny when they have open access to the environment, and they might pull their blankets in. With a wired crate, the great thing about them is you can get a larger size wired crate with a divider, so you don't have to buy two, one at a puppy stage and one when they grow into it. You can just use that divider to make their space small. That's really important. You want to ensure that the space that your puppy's in is just enough for them to lay down and turn around, not enough for them to have an accident on one side and then go sleep on the other. And if you do have a high drive working dog, we recommend the RUFFWEAR kennels. They're a little bit more durable and not easy for dogs to break out of. Or if you have a dog with anxiety issues, that's what we would recommend as well.